maybe talk through some of the more of the technology integration and just how you approach that and what your learned experience was through that you can share with some of the folks that are listening in, maybe thinking about some of these same challenges themselves right now.
Sure. Like I mentioned before, technology integration. So because health data utility, we get level on data into our system. We are not a single EHR system. We are not a single hospital, right? So the scale is big, but not massive like another state like California or so, right? So the scale is definitely big. When we are talking about transactions, close to million plus records are just on clinical side gets exchanged on a daily basis. Again, very similar to that. So these are what we call as admission discharge transfer events, right? So when event starts flowing into our system, that triggers upstream data quality validation. So technical integration, initially the requirements that I had is to have at two different levels. One at a level of transactional stabilization, and the second one, which is anything that we run downstream analytics, has its own stability too, because this also adds a layer of introducing gaps in other sources of data that flows into our system that doesn't follow our traditional integration path. And how do we normalize that? So there were two different use cases that we had initially. So technically how we approached this, we started with the standard normalization approaches of integrating this upstream and batch process. Right now, we are hitting the IMO's SFTP exchanges, which again goes back to the IMO's search APIs naturally. So any distinct records that we get that are not already normalized, we pick them up. The pipelines actually package them, send it into IMO's batch process engine, and then at a agreed upon cadence, and then that provides back results, and then we just ingest that into our infrastructure for downstream utilization. Then there are other data warehouse and data lake processes that we've also embedded, in which gap data that we get, we actually ingest that ad hoc into our system, and that lands into our lake. Prior to the data landing into the lake, we run them against with the normalization engine that again brings back just to have a layer of double validation for us in order to get it into meaningful downstream systems and fill the gaps that actually exist in the system due to this variance in transactional processing and data lake processing, which is more analytical for us right now. So architecturally, we had to place with IMO in a different way, and this might not be the same case with others. So in a way, how we are approaching it is kind of unique on how we are actually pushing that into transactional and analytical normalization altogether.